Weather across the nation is changing heading into December. We do have some cold air heading our way in the northern plains, while there's a risk of severe weather in the southern plains. Record highs on this Thursday afternoon in the northern plains reached over 60 degrees. And now things are changing. It's an Alberta clipper that will bring some snow and wind that could create some travel trouble in an area that has not had much winter weather in the northern plains. And in the drought-ridden south, a chance for some rain that may be beneficial, but it could come with a couple of headaches in the form of some hail on the way. I'll have details on that as well. Let's start right away, shall we? I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. 26 years of on-air experience and now working with you to get you the weather that you need to know. Here's what we're looking at as far as our risk of severe weather. From the Storm Prediction Center down in the southern plains, this is a day 3 or Saturday outlook so that you're aware as we head into Saturday. Now, look at where we have the yellow circle. First and foremost, we could have strong thunderstorms all the way through the Ohio River Valley down into the panhandle of Florida, where you see the light green shades here. Those light green shades would indicate just a garden variety thunderstorm. Now, level 1 on a 5-level scale of severe weather is the darker green, but still the risk of severe weather in that case is not high. It's marginal. In other words, storms might be severe. The risk is pretty low. We'll keep our eyes on that for you, but where you see the yellow, there's a slight risk of severe, and we are expecting a few severe storms extending from the Houston metropolitan area right through the majority of northern Louisiana into southeastern portions of Arkansas, and of course, the Mississippi River Valley. So there's a closer look at the areas impacted. Now we'll take a look at some computer models as we go through, and we're going to talk also about something going on in the northern plains as we head into the evening hours as well. Now, here's what you need to know with regards to the weather that's going on in the area of the north. Some rain after temperatures hit record highs today in places like Fargo, North Dakota and Grand Forks, North Dakota. That's right. We had low to mid 50s to over 60 degrees for the second straight day in North Dakota. That is all about to change. We have rain taking place in the Big Sky country of Montana, and the advisories you see here issued by the National Weather Service are for wind. Folks, this Alberta clipper, I like to say oftentimes Alberta clippers coming out of Canada have more blow than snow, and this one will fit the bill. There will be a lot of wind with this system. There could be gusts in the open country of North Dakota where there's few trees that exceed 50 miles per hour, and ridiculous wind in the mountains of Wyoming where we have a high wind warning on the I-25 corridor as you're going from Cheyenne up north through Torrington and on towards Casper as well. So we do have some concerns as this clipper works its way through. Let's take a look at the forecast, shall we? And to do that, I want to pop up this graphic right here. So this is a look at the national forecast. This is from the European model, and I prefer to use the European model for the extended outlook beyond, say, 48 hours. It typically has a little bit better grasp and average of hitting things than the comparable American model. That's not to rule it out, but let's take a look at the progression of this low pressure system. The timing you're looking at here is this Thursday evening. Notice and remember, the radar I just showed you showed that rain that was working its way through the areas of eastern Montana and western part of the Dakotas, while the Pacific Northwest gets snow. Now, here's the Alberta clipper as it's moving off the northern Rockies and into the northern plains, and this puppy intensifies as we walk through towards Friday morning. Notice the warm temperatures go away. A rapid northerly flow out of Canada causing temperatures to drop, and also a drop in pressure causing those temperatures to fall, and that's going to allow it to be snow. This is midnight on Thursday night and Friday morning. There will be accumulation up near the oil patch up in the Williston area of North Dakota and along the international border. And then the risk of snow will shift out towards Fargo and eventually out toward the Twin Cities. But notice how it weakens a bit with regards to its precipitation chances. But the wind does not weaken as that system blows through. There's going to be a chance for anywhere from an inch to upwards of 5 inches of snow near the international border as that system works its way through. Here's the weather maker as we head into Saturday morning is this timestamp. Things get firing off not far from Little Rock, Arkansas, and that shower activity extends toward the area of low pressure that's developing here right over Chicago, Illinois. So some showers of rain, maybe even a rumble of thunder in the morning hours possible as you go down this weather system all the way down into the deep south. But in the deep south, we're going to have a chance at some inclement weather working its way through. Here we go. Saturday, storms in the midday and afternoon hours forming. You see the pimples out here ahead of the system. Those storms, the risk of severe out towards Alabama and Georgia, not as high as out to the east. And here's where the main event happens as we head into our Saturday afternoon and evening with the timing of that system. That will be very important. And also something that tends to be important when it comes to those type of systems is the available moisture in the atmosphere. And to do that, we're going to take a look at the available moisture. So while I pull up the correct content for you here, we're going to look at one model and we're going to look at the precipitation rate. So here's a closer look at that precipitation rate as we take a look at this model. Now this particular forecast model is showing you the time frame of Saturday midday. Notice things firing off in the midday hours off in parts of Louisiana and also up into the Mississippi Delta, portions of Little Rock and the Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and those areas will have a chance at seeing some showers and thunderstorms rumbling through. Now, we also have some development in the panhandle of Florida, and this is actually as we get towards Saturday evening. So our risk in Saturday's forecast looks like it really enhances late in the day. And check this out. As cold, dry air out of the Rocky Mountains dives into the southern plains, it's going to initiate some thunderstorm development here. So it's when the driest of the air is mingling with this hot, humid air here in the Mississippi Delta that we'll have our best chance at seeing that. And this is a look at how much rain potential we'll have with this. And we're going to take a look at that dry line as it makes its way through as the drier air interacts with it. But look at the precipitation amounts along the international border for Friday and into Saturday. Not a lot of liquid equivalent moisture, but when you factor that in the form of snow, there's going to be a little bit of shovel trouble up there, folks. And now here, look at this. I want to compare this forecast amounts and keep in mind, these amounts are not necessarily what's going to hit everywhere. The models tend to overdo the amount of precipitation that you see here. Let me zoom this out so you can see these areas down in the southeast United States. So as we look into Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, we see heavy rain amounts. Models tend to overdo the widespread nature of the rainfall amounts here, but the precipitable amount of water in the atmosphere is substantial. And here's why that's a big deal, right? Let me tell you that we do have some very dry weather taking place down there. This is the southeast, and this is the very latest released today from the Drought Monitor. And you notice in these areas of deep red, that is exceptional drought through central Louisiana, the Mississippi Delta, and on up through most of Mississippi. That carries itself all the way into the mountains of Tennessee, right? So precipitation much needed in these areas. And I got to tell you, just keep in mind, if you're traveling out in the area or as we head into the weekend, there's going to be a risk for a few of these storms to be severe. And the best chance will be from Houston through portions of Louisiana, all the way to the western portion of the panhandle of Florida. And then that does extend north, as far north as the southern and western quadrant of Tennessee. That's the area where we may see a few severe thunderstorms. It doesn't look like a huge outbreak to me, but there is some mighty dry weather mingling with some hot, humid weather, then that's going to take place in the northern plains. All in all, we do have some wild weather that's going to take place there. I do want to point out, too, while I pull up another piece of content here for you with regards to that dry air and how it mingles with the air of the Gulf Coast states. And this graphic really shows it very clearly here as we take a look at what's called the dew point temperature. So I'm loading that up right now. Now we'll put it up for you so you can share along in what it is we're watching. Okay, first and foremost, these are the dew point temperatures on this Thursday. This is extremely dry air. I mean, dew points in the 30s are what is typical this time of year in the central plains and northern plains when we get dry Canadian air masses moving in. So some dry air is in place across the area that is drought ridden right now. The Gulf of Mexico has some air with more moisture in it. Those dew points are in the 50s. Now, as we set this forward in time, we're going to see this flow off of the Gulf of Mexico. Do you see the blue colors coming in? Those are dew points in the 60s. And folks, that's more typical for this time of the year in the Gulf Coast states. To have dew points in the 60s right along the shore or the coast is not uncommon for this time of the year. Now, we start with a south flow off the Gulf Coast. You can watch that moisture as we go into the late week on Friday. This is Friday, and here comes the moist, humid, sticky air, and it's making its way northward. Why is it moving north? Out ahead of a cold front, the south winds are going to increase, and it's going to scoop up the air in the Gulf of Mexico and rise it through the Mississippi Delta. As that happens, watch the dry air coming in from up here. We're talking out of the Rockies. Very dry air is going to mingle with this humid air here, and that's really going to be the impetus for some pretty potent, buoyant thunderstorm air to form. And this time frame you're looking at here is Saturday night. So expect the increased risk of severe storms in the Mississippi Delta from Houston through much of Louisiana, all the way up into Mississippi, into southern parts of Kentucky and even Tennessee as we head into the weekend, mainly late Saturday and into the nighttime hours. And the risk is going to be there, I would say, in the eastern one half of the Gulf of Mexico. As I'll pull up that graphic one more time for you to see the Storm Prediction Center Day 3 forecast for Saturday. That's a look at your weather. I am meteorologist Hutch Johnson, by the way, a 26-year on-air veteran of meteorology, worked on research meteorology for 5 years, and I love talking about the weather. And you can find me on Hutch's Weather right here on YouTube. I'd love to have your subscriptions and your likes on the videos if it, well, meant anything and helped you out in any way. Thanks so much for watching.